Between 2020 and 2022, I tripled my salary as a construction project engineer. While this seems like a massive jump, I know a lot of people in the industry who've achieved similar results. The construction industry has some incredible opportunities within it. On top of this, I even made some big mistakes along the way, and I think you could have achieved these same results faster. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I tripled my salary, but more importantly, how you can do it too. I'm also going to talk about some of the mistakes I made along the way, so hopefully you can achieve these same results even faster. I want to preface this by saying I started with a low salary, so coming up with a clickbait title of how I tripled my salary, it makes it easier. But I still want to say that even if you already have made some progress in your construction management career, then the same principles behind how I tripled my salary will still be useful to you. So the context. In 2020, I was working as a site engineer, making a salary of around $80,000 per year. By 2022, I was working as a project engineer doing fly-in, fly-out work in Outback Australia, working on a solar farm, making roughly triple this. So how did I get this massive jump in salary? Well, I made some deliberate decisions and career changes, but I also made some sacrifices. Not all of them were good decisions, and I also want to preface this by saying my goal wasn't directly to increase my salary. My salary increase was a byproduct of me wanting to move from the civil construction industry into the renewable energy industry. I'm going to unpack each of the factors that contributed to my salary increase, so hopefully you can apply the same principles to your construction management career. Number one, the first and most important factor was finding a booming market where I could apply my skills. The renewable energy industry in Australia is booming. There's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of projects going on. There are so many solar farm and battery projects that companies are really struggling to find enough good and capable engineers who want to go and work on these projects. On top of this, I studied electrical engineering. So in addition to there being a shortage of people who want to go work on renewable energy projects, there's a shortage of particularly electrical project engineers. I rewrote and reframed my experience of civil infrastructure jobs to relate to the renewable energy projects I was interested in working for. You don't have to be an electrical engineer applying for renewable energy projects to do this. All you need to do is reframe your past experience to align with where there's current job growth and demand. The second thing I did is I was willing to do what others weren't. The massive problem with solar farms, renewable energy projects, and it ties in to the initial point about finding a booming market, is nobody wants to go into the middle of nowhere to work on these projects. You don't build a massive solar farm in the middle of the city where land's expensive. You build it in the middle of nowhere. Unfortunately, this means if you want to work in the renewable energy space on these sorts of projects, it typically means moving to a remote location. In Australia, a lot of these projects are fly in, fly out, so you end up working on a roster. My roster was I worked 11 days straight, then flew home for 3 days. Now, to get people to do jobs like this, you have to pay them extra. You have to pay them significantly extra. Why would somebody for the same amount of money go and work on a roster like that if they could get the same job in the city? Therefore, the principle out of this is if you're willing to do jobs in locations or working conditions that other people aren't, then you're going to get compensated for it. The third thing I did that helped increase my salary was getting promoted. Now, I actually got this promotion before I left my old company because I was constantly excelling in my job. One of the things that's worth noting though is getting promoted internally in a company is more challenging than getting promoted when you moved jobs. So the mistake I made here is while I'd already been promoted in my old company, when I moved companies, I probably should have pushed for an additional promotion. I didn't do this and I think it was a mistake. Now, a lot of people say you shouldn't push for a promotion if you're not qualified to already fill that job. I disagree. I think you should always be pushing to do jobs that you're underqualified to do. Because the goal I see, the objective of any position is to learn. So if you're in a job where you're overqualified for it, it means you're not going to be learning. So I'd recommend if you're going to move companies, then push for a promotion. Try to get a job that stretches your capabilities because you're going to learn more by doing it, in addition to getting paid more. Reason number 4 was having a good reputation. I didn't actually apply for the job I got offered. An old manager that I used to work with recommended me for the position. Why did he do that? Because whenever he'd seen me work, whenever I'd worked with him, I constantly performed well. I constantly put in a big effort. So it made sense for him to refer me for the new position. One of the most important things you'll develop in your career and where you'll get 90% of the opportunities that take you to get promoted, to take you into better and better jobs, will be purely from having a good reputation and from people vouching for you and giving you these opportunities. So whenever you're doing a job, give 100%, 10%, always do your best. Your reputation is your most valuable asset within the construction industry. Reason number 5, and probably one of the biggest factors that contributed to this big salary bump, was moving companies. Whenever you move companies, you tend to get a salary increase for the basic fact that people don't tend to move companies for less money than they were previously on. Why would you leave in the first place? I don't think it's a good strategy to move companies for promotions, to move companies for increased salary. The reason that is because if employers see you as someone who shops around, constantly looking for new jobs, has a new job every year to 18 months, they see you as somebody who's not loyal to the company they're working for. At junior levels, this probably won't make much of a difference, but as you go into more senior and senior positions at companies, they'll see you as somebody who shops around and they won't be willing to invest a lot in employing you. I didn't move for money. I moved for the deliberate reason that I wanted to get into the renewable energy space, and the company I was working for previously didn't have any projects. But trying to increase your salary by constantly jumping companies is a bad strategy. Strategic moves can elevate your career, but remember, every time you move companies, you should have a good reason why you chose to do it that you could explain to future employers. In summary, if you want to boost your salary in the construction industry, you should find the best market to apply your skills. You should be willing to do the work that other people aren't. You should look for promotions. You should always have good reputation. And if you're desperate, you can look to move companies, but I don't recommend the last one. Now, all these strategies are relatively simple. They're relatively straightforward. In practice, these are all useful tactics that you can use. But if you're serious about accelerating and growing your career in the construction industry, then watch this video next, because it's what I would tell my former self 10 years ago starting out in the construction industry. 5 things I wish I'd done differently.